I've got a question for you there, Wild Man. Could you tell me and the listeners what's the fuzz about?
Hey, what's all the fuzz about?
Okay, so what's all the fuzz about episode or the segment today? I'm going to read this for you, Steve. You may be familiar with this already, but I'm going to read this. This is back in 1950. Fender is known to have created the very first solid body electric guitar, known as, many people don't know this, the Broadcaster. The problem was they didn't last long because the company Gretsch trademarked the Broadcaster name, causing Fender to rethink the name. Many guitars had the name removed from the headstock and became known as No-Casters. As we all know, eventually this guitar became known as the ever-popular Telecaster, known to one and all as the Tele. The intriguing part of this story is the No-Caster. The guitars that needed to be modified because Gretsch owned the name. The headstock then was blank, other than the Fender name, of course. Here's my thought. It's amazing how much branding is prioritized, not just in the guitar world, but also in every aspect of our lives. The social media surge has created a culture that focuses on self-expression, i.e. self-branding. Perhaps in the midst of this, and this is for you, this is for the listeners, everybody, here's my challenge from What's the Fuzz About today. Perhaps in the midst of this, you could take the approach of the No-Caster and simply say, hey, nothing special here, it's just me.
Wow. I love it. I love it. And you know, boy, you know, we just were talking at the beginning of the show about, you know, the Spin Awards and having been nominated. And, you know, I think about, you know, our Twitter and Instagram handle, which is @Wildman and Steve. And, you know, we wanted to make sure we had something that was simple and clean and communicated what we were, so that we, you know, all the stuff that you put into that. And we're all convinced that that is necessary to communicate in this world of today. Serious question. Do you think Jesus would have had a Twitter account? Do you think Paul would have established a hashtag? I don't know. I mean, you know, it's worth talking about because, you know, obviously Paul was, you know, I'm going to become all things to all people, so that by all means I might save some. So on the one hand, you might say yes, right? He's going to take advantage of whatever the avenues of communication were. The one thing I can guarantee you is that neither Jesus nor any sincere, true follower from the disciples right on through are going to get caught up in the name, the hashtag, the brand. I love the No-Caster. That's wow.
Well, I mean, and it's an amazing thought that the guitar still accomplished the same thing.
Yeah.
And I have to tell on myself here, because you know me, I'm a Gibson guy. And for the last 20 years or so, if somebody was going to show me a guitar, if it wasn't Gibson, Fender, or Martin, all right, it's no big. It's just a guitar, you know. But there have been many who have found diamonds in the rough who do that. It does the same thing that the big name does. Same thing as comparing generic to main brand, you know, all that stuff. Every now and then you find one that's equal or even better. But the idea of the No-Caster, it still functioned. It did the same thing, but yet the name wasn't there. The idea of social media and the branding that you were talking about. Would Paul use it? Would Jesus use it? I thought about John Wesley, for example. I think all of them would be all over it, but I think the difference would be that the purpose behind why they did it. Like, for example, Paul says, if I'm going to boast, I'm going to boast about my weaknesses.
That's it.
So when Paul tweets, he's not going to tweet, "Look at me." You know, he's going to tweet, "Look at what I can't do."
Right.
And the whole purpose of that is him being honest, saying, "These are my inabilities. This is what I can't do. I'm in need." Like we just heard the song tonight, "I Need You, Lord." You know, or even Rusty's first song that we played tonight, I thought really was solid. That I need to be a better man. How honest of a lyric. Did you ever hear any other lyric that was more honest than "Better Man" tonight? That was just straight out, Lord, I'm messing up. Lord, I need to be a better man. Lord, and then we go into "I need you." I mean, the whole idea in our world today, self-expression has really just exploded, as we know. And it seems that the problem is it possible to be involved with self-expression without being absorbed by self? That's
right. It's a fine line. I think it's difficult. It can be done. We've had wonderfully humble artists on this show. We've talked about it many times. We've talked about it with the artists. We've talked about it just you and I, who would rather talk about Jesus than their latest album, who are more concerned with people coming to know Jesus than how many albums they sold, right? So it can be done, but really, just as if you're going to walk on water, it can be done,
right.
But you got to keep your eyes on Jesus 100%. The second you look aside, whether it's to the winds and the waves, the storms of life, or to the glittering temptations. You think about Satan taking Jesus up and showing him all the kingdoms of the world, right? All this could be yours, that sort of thing. So it's when you focus on Christ, then yes, it can be. But boy, it's not easy.
Well, yeah, it's not easy because there's so many temptations surrounding you. It's the same as, both of us. I mean, you're a teacher, you're also a minister in many different ways. And when, how do you deal with somebody who compliments you? What's the appropriate thing to say? That was a great sermon, or that was a great episode, or what do you say? And that's always a struggle because then it's like, and because the bottom line is any good that comes out of you doesn't come from Steve. Now, I don't mean that personally.
No.
It comes from him. Any good that comes out of me comes from him. Anything that we do.
I am profoundly uncomfortable with compliments. Profoundly.
Hey,
and
that's why God brought me by your side for this show. You just get comfortable because you're not going to get it.
Believe me. I mean this with all sincerity, wild man. I don't talk to you to feel better about myself.
And I'll take that as a compliment.
But in all seriousness, when people will compliment, I'm always finding a way to deflect. Yeah. Wow, that was great, whatever. Wow, we had a really great guest, so it's easy to have a good show when you got a great guest. And not that that's false, that's obviously if you got a great guest on, it is easy to have a good show.
Yeah.
But man, I just and I don't know. I don't think that that's necessarily coming from a place of a personality flaw. It's just that I don't want that glory.
Yeah.
I just don't want anything.
Yeah.
Truly, to get in the way of glory to the Lord. That just feels wrong. I mean,